Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of Monday, February 4th, 2019 to order. The City Council of the City of West Hollywood. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ted Green, would you like to come up and lead us in the pledge this evening?
Thank you very much. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Ms. City Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Heilman?
Here.
Councilmember Horvath?
Here.
Councilmember Meister?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem D'Amico?
Yes.
Mayor Duran?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All are present. City Attorney, may we have a report from tonight's closed session agenda?
Thank you, Mayor. This meeting was called to order at 6 o'clock this evening in these chambers. There were no public comments on the closed session agenda. One item was added to that agenda under Government Code Section 54956.9 D1 pertaining to a matter of pending litigation, BPREP versus City of West Hollywood. No reportable action was taken in closed session this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. So we'll now move to the approval of the agenda. Let me start with the City Clerk. Anything from staff, changes to the agenda tonight?
No.
Okay. My colleagues, any changes to the agenda? Councilmember Heilman?
I'm wondering if we could move items 5A, 6A, and 6C to consent.
Item 5A is the amendment to the agreement for temp staffing services with Search Pros. Item 6A is the pet grooming ordinance. And item 6C prohibits construction on holidays. Those are both Councilmember Meister's items. Any objection to moving those three items to consent? Hearing none. Any other changes? Councilmember Horvath? Nope. Councilmember Meister? Mayor Pro Tem?
I have some questions about that.
All right. Let me try a couple. What about item 5C, which is the City's Council schedule for mayoral installation changes?
I think we have to talk about it.
Yeah, I have a
Okay, we need to talk
Question
about
about
that. What about item 6B, which is the impound of scooters? Any
okay with that.
Moving that to consent? Everyone okay with moving the impound of scooters to consent? All right, we'll move item 6B to consent then. 6A, B, and C are all moved to consent, along with item 5A. A motion to approve the agenda as amended would be in order. Been moved by D'Amico, seconded by Meister. All those in favor indicate with an aye. Ayes have it, 5-0. The agenda is approved. We'll now move to adjournment motions to remember those women and men who have died, or individuals who have died since we last met. Let me start with Councilmember Meister.
Thank you. I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Vincent Don Arnone. Vincent Don Arnone, a father of Jim Arnone, was born in New Jersey in 1941 and landed in Burbank when his parents moved there shortly after World War II. He worked for years as a barber and hairstylist, an income tax preparer, a do-it-yourself dog wash business owner, and a landlord. In the early 1980s, Vince became seriously interested in photography. Though most of Vince's work was for personal and family enjoyment, he had several successes when he submitted his photographs to contests, winning some first-place awards for individual photographs and a Best Portfolio Award. Vince had 3 children, Joseph, James, and Michael. Our deepest sympathy to Jim Arnone and his family.
All right, thank you. Without objection, we shall do so. Councilmember Heilman?
None.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Horvath?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Phyllis Elaine Metzger-Settle, the sister-in-law to Richard Settle, our longtime photographer for the city and an active community member. We extend our sincerest condolences to you and your family, Richard. I'd also like to adjourn in memory of the victims of the shooting at SunTrust Bank in Sebring, Florida. All 5 women, their names, Cynthia Watson, age 65, Marisol Lopez, age 55, Ana Pinon Williams, age 38, Jessica Montague, age 31, and Deborah Cook, age 54. And as is our tradition in the city, to adjourn our council meetings in honor of the military service personnel who were killed in service to our country since our last meeting. They were military adjournment Sergeant First Class Joshua Zach Beal, age 32. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Without objection, we shall do so. I have 2 names to add to the adjournment motions for the evening. One is longtime resident, West Hollywood, Greg Willenborg. Greg lived over on Fairfax, one of my fellow co-founders of Equality California to establish marriage equality for gay and lesbian couples in the state of California. Very active with the sober community as well. and loved by many in the city of West Hollywood. And the second name is Alan Cantor, one of the owners of Cantor's Deli on Fairfax as well, Alan being the son of the original owner, survived by the other members of the Cantor family. All right, that concludes our adjournment motions. I believe we have one presentation this evening. It's the 21st anniversary of V-Day. 21 years ago, Eve Ensler's play, The Vagina Monologues, gave birth to V-Day, a global activist movement to end violence against all women and girls, cisgender, transgender, and gender nonconforming, bringing widespread attention to issues of harassment, rape, battery, incest, female genital mutilation, and sex slavery. V-Day acts as a catalyst to promote creative events that increase awareness, raise money, and revitalize the spirit of existing anti-violence organizations. The City of West Hollywood is active in the fight against violence against women through advocacy on the local, state, federal, and global levels, and through legislation, programming, and services in the area of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And this year, the City of West Hollywood will commemorate the 21st anniversary of V-Day with the sponsorship of 2 performances of the Vagina Monologues produced by the Hollywood chapter of the National Organization for Women, supported by the city's Transgender Advisory Board, Women's Advisory Board, Lesbian and Gay Advisory Board, featuring a cast of local activists. Tonight, we commemorate the historic occasion of the 21st anniversary of V-Day and urge the community to continue to actively support this important global campaign to end violence against women and girls. And I believe we have members of the Women's Advisory Board here with us tonight to be part of the presentation. Do we? We do. Okay. Colleagues, you want to come down?
Thank you, Mayor Duran. My name's Karen Ayers. I'm on the Women's Advisory Board for the City of West Hollywood. I'm also on the Executive Committee for the Hollywood chapter of the National Organization for Women. And V-Day, I'm just so proud of this city to be celebrating V-Day and raising awareness about this issue. And the city does it every year. And this year, V-Day is putting the spotlight on women who have been incarcerated and are currently being held in prison or detention. And that is also going to be something that we raise awareness during our production of the Vagina Monologues. The Vagina Monologues production is going to be on February 16th and 17th. It's coming up. Tickets are a reasonable price of $15, and all the proceeds will be going to Planned Parenthood LA and Hollywood Now, with the vast majority going to Planned Parenthood, I should say. So thank you very much for letting us put this production together here in the city. And it's going to be right here in council chambers, and it's going to be a fantastic production. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you to all your colleagues on the Women's Advisory Board. We'll now move to the public comment section of our agenda this evening. Please understand, pursuant to the Brown Act, that council cannot comment or take action on items that are not listed on our posted agenda, but you're still welcome to address us about any matter that you wish. This public comment period is limited to a 20-minute segment with 2 minutes allotted for each speaker. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and your city of residence. And we'll start with Kevin Burton, to be followed by Steve Martin.
Good evening, Council. I'm speaking tonight on item 2.0, having to do with a motion brought forth by Council members D'Amico and Meister for a report from staff on progress and bicycle lanes and related issues. I strongly support that, and thank you for bringing that forward. The Bicycle Commission The Bicycle Coalition had recommended to council at the time of the 2017 update to the bicycle and pedestrian plan that you receive annual updates on progress toward implementation of that plan. So I would consider this consistent with that request. It's very important that council engage with staff in implementing those proposals, because although since 2003 there have been proposals for 14 bicycle lanes in different streets throughout the city, only 1.5 have actually been installed in those 15 years. So it is a challenge to do so, and it's important that council remain engaged, and as it did in the Fairfax bike lanes, because council was a primary mover with the Transportation Commission. On the staff side, I was very encouraged to hear from staff last month's Transportation Commission that they are discussing 3 of the 9 proposed bike lanes in the 2017 bicycle and pedestrian plan. So I consider that very encouraging. I'm sure you all will hear about those efforts in the report. With regard to the one proposal of installing bike lanes or bike ways on an alleyways parallel to Santa Monica Boulevard, that was discussed at the time of the bicycle task force. A number of bicyclists are in favor of that. There are a number of practical challenges, so it didn't actually make it to the level of recommendation, but I look forward to hearing again about that from staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Steve Martin, to be followed by Luna and Alexandra Teep.
Steve Martin, West Hollywood, and I want to thank Council Members Meister and D'Amico for bringing 2R forward on a programming on neutering and spraying of cats. I think even Councilmember Hyman would agree that we have a surplus of cats, and that there's, as a proud father of 3 rescue kittens that we got here in West Hollywood from Laurel Pet Hospital, it's very tragic the number of kittens that are born that really have no place to, no home, and no place that's really safe for them. So I really appreciate that. I'd also want to remind the public and the candidates that we have an East Side Forum happening this Wednesday, February 6th, and most of the candidates have RSVP'd. It's going to start at 6:30 this coming Wednesday at the La Brea Gateway Project in the community room on the first floor, so we hope to see everybody there. On another issue, a lot of people have asked me why I signed the petition for no on B, why I'm opposed to the Arts Club. And I have to say, it's a tough decision because many of my friends up on the console and many of my friends in the community have come out in support of this. But I have to say that it's really bad policy. It was adopted under very extenuous circumstances with tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars spent by the developer on half-truths and disinformation, self-serving information. It's 4 times more density than it should have. It's 100 feet higher than it should. And when you do the math on the project, we're supposedly getting a art gallery performance space worth $10 million. But if you extrapolate that 2,200 square feet for the 88,000 extra square feet they're getting, you're talking about a private benefit to the developer of over $350 million, which is a lot of money, and I really think we're getting shortchanged here. So thank you.
Thank you. Luna and Alexandra Teep, to be followed by Eden, Anna Luna, and Alexandra McGowan. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eden Anay Luna, and this is Alexandra Magayon. We're representing the Transgender Economic Empowerment Project from the Los Angeles LGBT Center. I believe I was here last year with Drian when we made the formal introduction. We wanted to talk a little bit about item 2Q and a little bit more about the existing conditions for a lot of our community members and constituents in West Hollywood who are experiencing homelessness and experiencing the difficulty of finding employment and finding opportunities to seek training to get to employment. Often the case is a lot of our constituents are either very transient or engaging in survival sex work to make ends or meet or to even have food on the table. But we try to address that by offering other opportunities, whether it's through trans-friendly employers or through either opportunities that social services and Derek provides as well, even within City Hall. But we want to link people to opportunities that are also accessible in entry-level positions that can really meet the needs of our community, especially the most marginalized, considering that trans people face a high number of unemployment. I believe it's triple the rate of unemployment on the national level. And then as well, a lot of trans people also face the underemployment and the wage gaps, or not wage gaps, the employment gaps that deter a lot of people from hiring them as well. And so we want to continue the discussion to make sure that trans and non-binary people are represented and also accounted for when having these discussions around employment trainings and opportunities, and make sure that it's not just so focused on youth and seniors, but also the people who don't fall in between those two age categories, and as well as the people who have the least amount of resources in general.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes also. Would you like to exercise your 2?
Yes, my name is Alexandra Magallon. I'm from the Chief Client Advocate for the LA LGBT Center. I would just like to echo what Luna says in regards to trans people being able to access employment. Not only is the issue, as we all know, with them not being able to get an interview at the very least, but also ID documents. A lot of our homeless population is having a very difficult time with the replacement of their ID documents when it comes to their homelessness. Of course, they're trying to survive and have meal first, and so a lot of their belongings get lost or stolen in that process. And so, like I said, I would just like to echo that and just continue that conversation. I would also like to thank the City of West Hollywood for always providing that for the trans community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Luna. All right. James Wen, to be followed by Jack Klein.
Good evening, Mayor Duran and members of City Council. My name is James Wen. I do serve on the City West Hollywood Transgender Advisory Board. However, this evening I am representing myself. I'm speaking on item 2S, which is the United Nations Women's Safe Cities Initiative. I'd like to especially thank Mayor Duran for attending and speaking at the UN Women LA's event, the Transgender Urban Experience. This event focused on safe public spaces for our transgender community and gender non-binary communities, focusing especially on public transportation and business establishments. The goal of UN Safe Cities is commemorated on January 11th of each year, began as an initiative to work with communities to end violence and sexual assault against women and girls while creating safe spaces. The UN Women chapter's proposed resolution seeks to enlarge this demographics to include the LGBTQ, intersex, asexual, ally, two-spirited, gender non-binary, gender non-conforming, and communities that are underserved. I want to thank the City of West Hollywood for considering this resolution, and we look forward to the transgender community, gender non-binary community, looks forward to working with the West Hollywood Women's Advisory Board and the West Hollywood Lesbian and Gay Advisory Board to further these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Did Mr. Klein withdraw his name? Yeah, he did. Oh, okay. Well, if he walks in, let me know. Okay, Eric John Schmidt, to be followed by Raul Alonso Evans.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and City Manager. My name is Eric John Schmidt. About 2 months ago, I requested the credit card records for the last year for the city and the travel of all council members and the city attorney and city manager. And it's really quite disturbing how much money has been spent. I wrote to all 6 of you to ask you if you could explain it, and I got no response. So as a result, I've decided tomorrow to file a complaint with the California Department of Justice and State Attorney General's office for the possible misappropriation of public funds, because there are a lot of things in this record that doesn't make sense. There are LA Lakers tickets, there's UCLA Bruins tickets, there's routine city meetings at restaurants that total $900. And I think the people have the right to know how you're spending their money. So since you won't answer my questions, I've decided to file that complaint, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Raul Alonso Evans, to be followed by Lynn, et cetera.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk. As My name is Raul Alonso from West Hollywood. Some of you might know me as the host and producer of WeHo Sports, the only gay sports show out of West Hollywood. But in this instance, I'm here because thanks to West Hollywood, I had got an opportunity and a second chance in life. I was diagnosed with full-blown AIDS back in 1991. I was given 3 to 6 months to live. I was diagnosed with mild dementia for HIV. And what I'm bringing you now is a new project, a film that I'm so proud to be the executive producer, and that I would need your sponsor, because since West Hollywood gave me this opportunity, I figured that West Hollywood should be the first ones to view our project. We have an Oscar-nominated actress, which is West Hollywood-owned Sally Kirkland, and the film is it's a fantasy about women superhero. So, thank you for your
Raul, thank you. And you're a miracle, Raul. We're really glad you stuck around.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
I left one of these for each of you guys with the city clerk.
Okay.
Rose is representative of the film as well. So this will last you on your desk for about a year.
Okay,
So-
put it on Yvonne's desk for now, though, so it doesn't break. All right. Okay, Lynn, et cetera, to be followed by Tom DeMille.
Lynn, et cetera, West Hollywood. Who am I, but if I may offer my endorsements, I endorse the 3 incumbent People's candidates, Lindsay Horvath, John D'Amico, and Lauren Meister. To the candidates running against them, I point out that Heilman and Duran are the neoliberal corporate sellouts. They are everything that is wrong with the Democratic Party. Duran ran against Sheila Kuhl for county supervisor, the lesbian who opened the door for gay candidates in statewide government. That wasn't shooting yourself in the foot, that was shooting yourself in both feet. If the candidates running against the people's candidates were running in 2020 in the coinciding with the presidential election against Heilman and Duran, we'd be applauding you. As it is, we will never vote for you. The people candidates in their less years in office have accomplished more to make this city comfortable for its residents than Heilman and Duran have in their many decades in office. Just one common sense example. There's now a left-hand turn signal at Fountain and Fairfax that has made this enormous ending of congestion. That is brought to you by the people's candidates, Lindsay, Lauren, and John D'Amico. May their goodness for the community continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Tom DeMille, to be followed by William West Siegmiller.
Hi, this is Tom DeMille, same guy that's on the ballot on March 5th. That's run for city council 5 times. Good evening. I jumped into the fire myself. I too have a blackface picture. I was rushed to judgment. It's what the Democrats did to the Virginia governor, what 300 people did when they gathered around Ed Buck's house, or the 2 black men in my bakery. That is all a rush to judgment. And it's what we teach our children, not from what we had 20 years ago, what we thought 20 years ago. It's what we teach them today. This is the whole teachable moment, I believe, that this tells us to teach our children today and also tomorrow together. We taught them separately today, but let's teach them all tomorrow together. And that's how when we rush to judgment, we create a fire amongst ourselves, like Facebook judgment, if you can all imagine how bad that is, right? So I think that the education of our children will solve all of these things that we have, and I don't think that we have a rush to judgment tonight. I think that the district attorney has taken a very long time to make her judgment, and whatever she judges tonight, I'll understand. And I thank you very much, and I hope you vote on March the 5th, even if you haven't voted ever. A lot of you don't know who the council members' names are. You know, it took me a while to learn too. but everyone's welcome. Don't be pushed aside or ridiculed or made fun of because of what you said, or you said something stupid. You know, like we're all human, dude. So thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. William West Sigmiller, to be followed by Karen Ayers.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So tonight, submitted on record for you all to receive was multiple call to action letters from various community organizations, including the Arming Minorities Against Addiction and Disease, the AMAD Institute, the Long Beach LGBT Center, the LA LGBT Center, and Los Angeles Sex Workers Outreach Project, among others. But just in the interest of leveraging amplitude, I'd like to share SWAP's statement regarding this case that's being reported on tonight. We honor the life of Jamel Moore and Timothy Dean and demand justice for all survivors of Ed Buck. Sex Workers Outreach Project LA demands an end to violence against all sex workers, including those engaged in survival economies. One moment. SWAP LA is committed to creating dignity for people in the sex trade, especially those impacted by criminalization and state violence. On Monday, January 7th, 2019, upon shocking news of the death of Timothy Moore, the second black man found dead at the home of prominent Democratic donor Ed Buck, SWAP was compelled to action. Jamel Moore and Timothy Dean were beloved members of their communities and had also been engaged in the sex industries to different extents. While race has centrally informed the lack of response from the state and the city of West Hollywood, stigma against sex work and criminalization of survival crimes enabled the violence experienced by Jamel Moore and others at the hands of Ed Buck. As part of a community coalition of sex workers, queer people, trans people, and people of color living in Los Angeles, we demand that you prosecute Ed Buck, end violence against queer and black people, people of color, and sex workers, deprioritize the criminalization of sex work and other survival crimes, and demand accountability of the West Hollywood Sheriff and Los Angeles District Attorney Jackie Lacey. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Ayers, to be followed by Jerome Kitchen. Steve Martin, I have another speaker slip. Are you speaking twice?
It's another Steve.
Oh, there's another Steve Martin. I'm very sorry. Okay, let's do Karen Ayers, and then we'll do Steve Martin. I'm sorry. I thought it was our old Steve Martin. You're the new Steve Martin. Okay, all right.
Hi, I'm Karen Ayers, resident of the city of West Hollywood. I got a phone call about an hour and a half ago from a former resident of West Hollywood, Ivy Bottini, and she asked me to speak tonight to you and let you know that she was sorry she was unable to make it to the last council meeting, and she wishes you all well, and she thanks you for your service.
Thank you, Karen. Hello to Ivy from all of us. The new Steve Martin, to be followed by Jerome Kitchen.
Hello, Mayor and council members. My name is Stephen Martin. I am a healthcare advocate and organizing member with Me Too Survivors March International. We are concerned about the recent deaths of Jamel Moore and Timothy Dean, and we would like to be able to request that when the completion of the investigation into both deaths are finished, that the council would seek to make sure that the same amount of appropriations were given to the Sheriff's Department to investigate both deaths that would be comparative to members of the white community if they were to be found dead from rape and drug abuse. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Jerome Kitchen, to be followed by Chris Bowen.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I actually came here with a prepared statement to address you guys with, but as soon as I arrived here, I was hit with a strong feeling of anxiety because myself, at your last candidate forum, I was a victim of racial discrimination right outside this door right here. No candidate, no sitting official, no one even thought to ask me was I okay thought to reach out to law enforcement. There was sheriffs called because I miraculously disturbed your meeting on me, but not about the racial discrimination, and it hasn't to this day been addressed by anybody sitting there. Secondly, I want to let everybody in this room know that that racist person that just got up here saying a quick act to judgment, just because he has a picture of him in blackface doesn't make it right. It makes it equally wrong. Do not vote for him. Do not put the racists in office. And no, 300 people did not jump to immediate conclusions with the Ed Buck situation. The sheriff department failed the community with Ed Buck's situation. You elected officials failed the community with the Ed Buck situation. John Duran, an alleged sexual assaultee, failed his city with the Ed Buck situation, and now there's 2 deaths. So no, it wasn't a rush to judgment. It was a lack of sympathy and empathy and justice to the community of color. It was a lack of investigation because the 2 dead bodies do not look like you guys, or because the mayor is in the pocket of the perp, we're going to turn a blind eye to it, or because the mayor is a perp himself, we're going to turn a blind eye to it. I don't know how any of you guys are okay with sitting next to a perp, working next to a perp. I'm ashamed that a perp had to announce me, and you guys should be ashamed to be sitting next to him. Your first order of business after your election should be to get John Duran out that goddamn seat.
Okay. From the Big Perb, thank you very much. Chris Bowen, to be followed by James Litz.
Hello, Chris Bowen, City of West Hollywood. I'm here just to provide the community with a bit of an update. I'm here representing the residents to preserve the Sunset Strip, and I am urging everyone to vote yes on Measure B, and that is the Arts Club. And I wanted to inform you all why the Norma Triangle Neighborhood Watch, the West Hollywood Heights Neighborhood Association, and the West Hollywood Chamber all support this project and the measure. It was founded by Charles Dickens in 1863, and the Arts Club will replace the Hustler Building, and it will include a bistro, music, art gallery, free rehearsal space, and space for singers, dancers, and performers. It will also include $13.5 million in community benefits. If you want to see even more creativity on the Sunset Strip, please vote yes on Measure B. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chris. James Litz, to be followed by Calvin Harris.
Good evening, James Litz, City of West Hollywood. I am also here for the Yes on Measure B, the residents to preserve the Sunset Strip. This is the land use decision that you, council approved, planning commission approved. It has nothing to do with the issue that is being presented on the ballot. It's a great addition and a great fit to the Sunset Strip. I don't have to resell the project, but you have to know that it's the first one in the United States, has free rehearsal space. It's going to have public galleries and plenty of funding for arts in West Hollywood. So don't be confused by what's on the ballot there. Vote yes on Measure B. Allow the Arts Club to go on Sunset Strip. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Calvin Harris, to be followed by Eugene, who is our final speaker.
Good evening. To clarify, J. Calvin Harris. I am a supporter of 2O. I am a resident of the 1000 block of North Stanley Avenue. I'm an avid bicyclist and runner. And when I do use my bike, that is the natural path that I use is the alleyway, because until you get to about King, there is really no, I think, reasonable way to use a bike. I mean, I know it is, a full share lane, but I know myself and many other people aren't necessarily comfortable using that. So I know myself and many other people use that alleyway, so I would be a great supporter of installing infrastructure and considering further use for that. Also, I'm a supporter of 2Q. I work and volunteer with that population myself, so I think it's very important that they continue to get access, particularly from the city of West Hollywood, the city of Los Angeles, and neighboring areas. I think it's very important that we continue to do so. Thank you for your time, and thank you for what you all do.
Thank you, Jay Calvin. Eugene is our final speaker.
Good evening. I didn't have much to say other than if
you guys actually did in fact care about Black lives, you would hand back the money of Ed Buck that was put towards your campaigns. And also, I don't understand how and why Ed Buck is still free after 2 people were killed, murdered at his home, and another person, my understanding, was killed very close to the scene of his home from a very similar overdose of meth, and yet he is still free to continue doing what he wants to do. And my understanding is shortly after the most recent death, he had somebody that was slated to come to his house, I think a day or 2 after, or the day of the funeral, and I don't understand how he's still able to walk free, when if it would be a black person in a similar situation, he would be locked up the moment they entered his house and they saw a dead person in his home. So my understanding is you're the only person on this entire council who has taken money from Ed Buck, who has not given it back. Is that true? So you have never taken money from Ed Buck?
Go ahead, finish your comments.
I'm asking. I know there's the Brown Act, but you have taken money or haven't? Because if you have, I think the right thing to do would be to give it to an LGBTQ community or center or Black Lives Matter or some organization that showed people in good faith that you were not under the auspices of Ed Buck and Ed Buck does not have control. Or you can resign, yeah, whatever the community wants, but you know, there's something fishy about Ed Buck being able to, again, be free, whereas if it would be a person of my complexion, again, they'd be in jail by the first person, let alone the second. So do the right thing and give the money back and then respectfully resign. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public comment for the evening. Now we'll go to council member comments and meeting attendance reports. Councilmember Horvath, want to start?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I know that we added item 6B to the consent agenda, and I just wanted to ask that we increase enforcement on this matter, whether through the actual code enforcement department, or maybe we can have ambassadors dealing with scooters that are left behind. Right now, this report also said that they're being left and not reclaimed, which means these companies are literally littering our streets with scooters. They're considering them trash. So I hope that there's some sort of accountability with these companies, especially since they're seeking to do business with the city with regard to bike share in the future. I know this item's on consent, but I just wanted to give the direction for additional accountability and code enforcement regarding scooters. Since our last meeting, I participated on the Legislative and Regulatory Committee for the Clean Power Alliance, which our city is now powered by Clean Power Alliance starting as of this past Friday. Our city has opted into 100% clean and renewable energy, which is very exciting and a great impact in reducing carbon emissions. This was a statewide goal set for the year 2045, and we as a community are already on the path to achieving it in 2019. So I'm very excited to share that announcement. And the letter from our city that we issued to the Public Utilities Commission, they're actually listening, and we may also be getting credit back for some of the overcollection that happened on our accounts from Southern California Edison. So I want to thank my colleagues for supporting that effort. By being on record, we're making a difference. I also participated in the Human Development Committee of the National League of Cities, where we're continuing to press the issue of inclusion on the census for both the LGBTQ community and our undocumented community. And so we'll continue that work at the national level. And I also represented the city at the Investing in Place breakfast, where metro projects and equity and access were discussed, and being able to prioritize Crenshaw North speaks specifically to that equity platform of metro. To address a couple of local issues that came up that I've heard from the community recently, I would like to ask that staff start doing the traffic counts at the intersections for both Fountain and Hayworth and Fountain and La Brea. There have been requests for us to do signalization at each of those at each of those intersections, signalization at Hayworth, and left turn arrows at La Brea. And I know that in order to do that, we have to start doing traffic thresholds. So if we could direct staff to do that to see if it warrants those additions, because I know there are continued concerns about the safety of Fountain Avenue. Also a signal at Greenacre on Santa Monica Boulevard. Two questions that I hope we can take up under the city manager's report. First, I know there was recently a story about potential housing in jeopardy for one of our residents, and I think the city manager might have some information about that we could share with the public, because obviously that is a community concern. There are also several concerns raised here tonight about the ongoing investigation at Laurel Avenue. I received correspondence from the Los Angeles County Commission of Human Relations. We also received correspondence from the California Legislative LGBT Caucus and a letter signed onto by 41 organizations asking for this issue to be thoroughly and properly investigated. So I would ask if we could, under the city manager's report, have a report from the sheriff's department to speak to this issue so the community can be informed about what's happening. And I will have a couple of questions for you at that time. I'd also like to acknowledge that it is Black History Month. It is recognized in the United States and in Canada in the month of February. In the UK, Netherlands, and Ireland, it takes place in October. It was first introduced, as I understand, at Kent State University, and President Ford officially recognized Black History Month during the U.S. bicentennial. This is in his words, we must seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And I would just caution that we beware the risk of relegating Black Americans' accomplishments to only 1 month of recognition. Clearly, with some of the comments that were made here tonight, there's certainly a need for consciousness raising and education on racial relations. So it's incumbent upon our community that we continue to elevate our consciousness and hold ourselves accountable and make sure that we root out racism in our community in all its forms. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Meister.
Thank you. This last couple of weeks, we had the 2019 Greater LA homeless count. And I was wondering if the city manager could just let us know when we can expect numbers to come from the county, when they'll be releasing numbers on that. I know we received some numbers, but the county has additional information. Also participating in the Ring Video Doorbell Rebate Program. It wasn't as well attended as I would have hoped, so I'm hoping that we can try to do that again and maybe advertise it a little more so that we get some more participation. Regarding the consent calendar, on item 2L, the West Hollywood Community Housing report, I just wanted to make sure that when the Doheny residences are the inclusionary units, that the priority goes to those residents who have been Ellised out, West Hollywood residents who have been Ellised out of their apartments, that they will have priority. And then on item 2N, award of agency development grants, the three that are obviously getting the grants are, great providers, social service providers for us. But if we do have any additional funds available, I think it would make sense for Housing Works and Step Up on Second to receive some money as well, especially considering the situation with homelessness here in West Hollywood. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Heilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to report on a couple of things. I serve on the successor agency for the county for redevelopment. We've had 2 meetings in the last month. It's primarily tedious, but I have been serving on that for the last couple of months. I wanted to ask our city manager during his report, there were comments during public comment about some expenditures on the demand register, and I know that we've all received information about what those expenditures are for, but I think it'd be important for the public to understand that as well. I also wanted to ask our city manager to follow up on the comment made during public comment. I was not at the candidates forum, but one of the speakers indicated that there was a racial incident outside involving some form of discrimination. I want to make sure that our staff and the sheriffs handled that appropriately, and if not, that we take appropriate steps to make sure that we know how to handle those incidents and that our staff knows how to handle those incidents. It's obviously difficult when there are competing members of the public who are allowed to express their viewpoints as well, but we want to make sure that those kind of forums in particular are welcoming of all members of the public. And then finally, there were questions about whether the sheriff has adequate resources to investigate the matter that was reported. I believe they do, but I want to make sure that when you're asking the sheriffs tonight and they make their presentation, that we get information as to whether there are sufficient resources for the investigation that they're conducting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the benefits of going second to last is that my colleagues carefully articulate many of the questions, and I too had a question about the woman whose housing is in jeopardy, the sort of update from the Sheriff's Department regarding the Mr. Buck and Laurel Avenue, and also specifically the expenditures that were discussed regarding our travel, our city's travel, as well as, I guess, the council members' travel and expenditures, and also regarding our Sheriff's Department funding for investigations. I know, I believe we're going to hear that homicide investigations are from, quote, downtown, and other things happen here at the station, and perhaps, if not the city manager, the interim captain can be more clear than I just was about exactly the division of labor and the division of costs and expenditures. And I also just want to say thank you to everyone, West and Steve and Jerome and Eugene and others who came out to hear us represent the community, and to you actually be the community in person, exchanging oxygen for carbon dioxide, telling us your thoughts, being present in the room, because there's no replacement for that. Certainly, everyone has my phone number. Everyone knows how to get in touch with us. But taking that time to stand there and tell us your thoughts is much appreciated. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I wanted to thank everybody who came tonight, especially those of you that came to talk about Mr. Buck and the ongoing investigation. The investigation is being handled by the Homicide Division downtown, not by our local stations, but I believe we've got Lieutenant Mulder here tonight to talk a bit more about what the downtown Homicide Division is doing about that. We all hear you. We hear you. I don't want you to feel like you weren't heard tonight. You were heard. We hear you. We see you. And I'll ask maybe Lieutenant Mulder if he'd like to come up and if you have any update on the Ed Buck investigation that you can share with us.
Well, good evening, council members, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Pro Tem, and everybody that's here tonight. My name is Bill Mulder. I'm the acting captain at West Hollywood Sheriff Station, and tonight I'll be providing an update on the death investigations for Jamil Moore and Timothy Dean. The Sheriff Alex Villanueva has released a statement about this particular, these investigations. He is directing that we do a thorough investigation, that our Homicide Bureau does a thorough investigation, and that it's also an objective investigation as well. He's very aware of this and putting department resources towards this. To the question earlier regarding does the Homicide Bureau have enough resources, we indeed do. So we have quite a large amount of resources for them to conduct their particular investigation. So an update tonight, as you well know, in these types of investigations, not a lot of information is released. Just to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we don't do that. But I can tell you that our Homicide Bureau, our investigators have been doing quite a few interviews. As late as last week, When I got an update last week, they were still interviewing people regarding this case, people that are coming forward with some information. Also, we're analyzing some evidence that's been collected, and that's being processed at this time as well. The other thing that we're waiting for, as you know, the autopsy has been completed, and we're waiting for like toxicology reports and other reports to come back finalized. They usually take a little bit of time, unfortunately. And in addition, myself, I have been in contact with our Homicide Bureau lieutenant on a weekly basis, getting updates. He is in charge of the team that is doing this investigation. I also, on Friday, had the opportunity to speak to Joanne Campbell, who is Timothy Dean's sister. She lives in Florida. I spoke with her by phone. We talked for quite a while about Timothy and about the investigation and so forth, and I offered her that anytime she wants to talk about it, she can give me a call, and when she's out in LA, I extended an invitation to meet with her. I also had the opportunity a couple weeks back during the Public Safety Commission meeting to meet and speak with Jerome Kitchen, and I gave him my information, my contact information, so anytime he can contact me, and I know that he's close with Jamel's mother, and I also extended the same invitation to her through him, that when she's here in LA next time, would be happy to meet with her. And I said anytime that they want to call me and get an update or just talk about the investigation, what I can talk about, I'm happy to do that. So those are the kind of things that have been happening thus far. Unfortunately, I can't get into, like I said, all the details, but I thank the City Council for all your support in this investigation, and that concludes my update.
Thank you, Captain Mulder. Any colleague have questions? Lindsay?
I have two questions, Mayor. I want to reiterate that I know that I sent you the letter from the LA Human Relations Commission, but I want to reiterate that we want to make sure that we address their concerns, which include health, safety, and equity of all members of the LGBTQ community, and that race and class should not interfere with equal treatment under the law. So I do have two questions. One came from correspondence we received today that letters of immunity were issued for people to be interviewed and to testify, but as of yet, the District Attorney's Office has not received any requested interviews from your department. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, like I said earlier, our Homicide Bureau investigators are indeed interviewing quite a few people. I don't know why in this particular case, why those interviews have not been conducted yet, but my understanding is I'm sure that those kinds of interviews, they will be conducted at some point in this investigation. So as of now, I don't know why they haven't been, but I assume they will be at some point.
Okay, and my other question is, in addition to the correspondence that we received in advance of today's meeting, since the report of the second death, of Mr. Dean's death, I've received a lot of correspondence, text messages, phone calls about this from many members of the community, many who are concerned about coming forward and speaking up publicly, so I commend those who did tonight because I know it takes a lot of courage to do that. But I guess what I'm struggling with is communicating with these residents who are deeply disturbed about the similarities in both cases and the concern that it raises to them that it might happen again. I know this is something that's been raised on more than one occasion. So what are you doing to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Well, in this particular situation with this particular, these two incidents, what is currently going on is the investigation, and so our investigation of this matter, I think, is in parts of that addressing it and maybe seeing that this won't happen again with this particular type of situation with these particular people or this particular individual. So the investigation is proceeding, and part of that will, I think, inform that question once that investigation is completed.
Well, I think to the extent that the city can play any role in working with you to make sure that it doesn't happen again, if there's any, as my colleagues have asked for, if there's any need for resources or support, we want to make sure this doesn't happen again. And if it's determined that drugs are playing a significant factor in ongoing behavior there, that we participate with you in some sort of preventative measures to make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else.
Thank you. Any of the colleague have questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. One quick question, and I just want to make sure I know one of the steps that I believe happened is that the Jamel Moore case was quietly closed about 6 months ago. And if that wasn't the case, has it been reopened? And are we looking at both of those in relationship to each other and separately again, of course?
The Jamel Moore case, our detectives from our Homicide Bureau did present evidence and took the case to the District Attorney's Office. And back on, I believe, July 26th, the day before the year anniversary of Jamel Moore's death, the District Attorney did not decide to seek prosecution in that situation. So this current investigation, to your question, will certainly inform more information for that particular investigation as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Heilman?
Yes, thank you again for the update, and thank you for the work you're doing. One of the questions I have is, you mentioned homicides involvement. Is the Narcotics Bureau also involved?
Currently, not to my knowledge, they're not currently involved with this. It's a homicide case, and so usually homicide will control the investigation.
Mayor?
Yes, I'm trying to hold order. Please, we need to hear what the captain's saying so we can conduct questions. We need you to please be quiet. Go ahead, Captain.
So the reason I ask is that there certainly have been reports, obviously in the media, that there were narcotics found at the location. And would they be consulted as part of the homicide investigation, or would the Narcotics Bureau not be involved at all?
Well, I can tell you in general that on investigations, like a homicide investigation where there are other things found at the scene, that's all part of the same homicide investigation. They do control the investigation.
So they would, if there were narcotics-related offenses, they would be able to make the case for those as well as for homicide, if that were the case?
So in general, when we conduct these type of investigations, if there's other crimes that have been committed in or around the particular specific crime they're investigating, or the investigation that they're conducting, that those would then be folded into, and they can be folded into an investigation and a prosecution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you for working with, I'm sorry, Councilmember Meister.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that our Sheriff's Department has reached out to the apartment building, other tenants in the building, to make sure that they know that they can contact our sheriff's station if they have tips, that those tips will remain anonymous, so that they don't have to be afraid to call if they see something, that they should say something.
Oh, absolutely, in general, and certainly we have called that anybody has information in this case to step forward, and people have come forward with it, but yeah, that is definitely, absolutely, if anybody sees somebody, they should actually call the Sheriff's Department immediately.
And that would be anonymous, that they would remain, if they're afraid of speaking because they live in the same building, that their tips would remain anonymous.
Yeah, certainly people can call and make, to give us information on anything. There's Crime Stoppers they can call too and do it anonymously, so there's many different ways they can do that without letting people know who they are.
Thank you.
Captain Mulder, I want to thank you for making yourself available to both victims' families and the work that the local department's doing. I have a question of you. We got to get on to the more mundane business of government. Are you available to answer people's questions in the back of the lobby? Will you be able to do
Absolutely.
that? All right, so if anybody has any questions for the captain, he can take you in the back lobby and answer your questions. All right, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you.
And quickly,
Mr. City Manager, your report, please.
just no.
Please be quiet.
So we're not doing the city manager's report yet, but while the lieutenant is here, it's my understanding that the incident that occurred after the candidate forum that occurred back here in the lobby, that there was a hate incident report made by the Sheriff's Department. I don't know if that information has been relayed to the victim. Maybe, I don't know if Lieutenant Ramirez is here. That was communicated to me from Lieutenant Ramirez. Maybe they can communicate with him what the next steps are. Great. Thank you.
A report was taken by that.
It was taken. Great.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to the next item, which is the city manager's report. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Paul?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I do have a number of items to report on, and then I'll address some of the additional questions that were raised tonight. One, code enforcement has informed me that the home sharing business license is now available online, and people can register and make their payments because the portal is finally working. The engineering division is given notice that additional construction is occurring on Fountain Avenue with the added dedicated turns, left turns, and enhanced safety and traffic circulation. Metro update, we're working with Mayor Butt's office to propose directions to pursue the new state legislation that could help fund our project and also other Measure M projects. Important to a lot of people who travel on Sunset Boulevard, the Sunset Pilot project survey is now online. You could go to weho.org/sunset experience, and you could share your thoughts on some of the temporary installations that we've done up on Sunset. Public safety updates, we're increasing patrols in both parks, including regular patrol checks and added personnel dedicated solely to park activities. Working with the city's communication division on a public safety master plan for Palmer Park, and we hope to present those with the next 6-month report at the March 18th meeting. The traffic counts that Councilmember Horvath requested, I'll work with the engineering staff. If it's something that they can accommodate within their work program, we'll do that. If we need to bring back an item for additional direction, we will do that. The questions regarding some of the expenditures that were provided, there were a number of tickets for events like El Capitan Theater, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Academy Television, UCLA football, Laker tickets. Those were through our recreation program and used for either trips with children or programs that helped with participants at the Teen Center. We do have some detail that was sent out on all of the subsequent questions from Mr. Schmidt, so we'll get that email to you as soon as possible. It's in a draft form now. You sent us the questions last week, and we'll get you a response this week. The question regarding the housing situation in the city of West Hollywood, the reports of an unfortunate Ellis situation. The city of West Hollywood has been actively working with the resident. There's not a lot of information we can publicly share because it's a confidential conversation. However, we've offered case management, counseling, support. We've looked at legal counseling and representation, and also benefits in helping them work with their new application. We have been informed by the developer of the project that they do have an alternate dwelling in the city of West Hollywood that's an affordable unit that she would qualify for and could move into. So that is available, and we're hoping that the two parties can coordinate that and make that happen. And unless the council has additional questions for me, I think I'm done.
Any questions for the city manager?
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, for your report. All right, that concludes public and council member comment. Moves us to approval of tonight's consent calendar. Consent calendar is a routine motion in which numerous routine matters can be acted upon in one motion. First, we need to have the fiscal impact on the consent calendar from our city clerk.
Yes, the fiscal impact includes items 5A, 6A, 6B, and 6C. And by council moving the legislative items to the consent calendar, they are introducing on first reading the following ordinances. An ordinance of the City of West Hollywood amending Section 5.18.030 of Chapter 5.18 Animal Grooming of the West Hollywood Municipal Code. That's item 6A. Item 6B is an ordinance of the City of West Hollywood amending Section 11.30.030 of the West Hollywood Municipal Code relating to impound, storage, and disposal of shared on-demand personal mobility devices. And item 6C is an amendment to the noise ordinance to prohibit construction on observed holidays. And so the fiscal impact with those additions is $179,000 in expenditures, $0 in potential revenue, and $0 in waived fees.
Motion to approve the consent calendar would be in order. Moved by D'Amico, seconded by Heilman. All those in favor, please indicate with an aye. Any opposed with a nay? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Now we move to our first, we have no public hearings tonight. Our first item of new business is item 5B, Neighborhood Traffic Calming Measures, introduced by Mayor Pro Tem D'Amico and Councilmember Meister. Is staff presenting, or are you guys presenting? You are, okay. Who asked, maybe we can go straight to the questions. Who had questions on this?
I did, and I appreciate this coming forward, and I like the idea of staff having the authority to just move forward without the need for a petition process. But I guess I would like to also retain some kind of discretion on the part of staff to require people in the neighborhood to show that there's some support for a proposed initiative. I'm worried that in a neighborhood with maybe 300 or 400 people, you can get 10 or 15 people coming forward and say, we want this. And it may not be at all representative of what the entire neighborhood wants. I understand that the petition process is really onerous, but I would like to give staff some discretion or some ability to say, no, we're not moving forward with your proposal because it's not really a good one for the community unless you show us that there's a lot more support. So that's kind of my concern. I know that we don't actually have a ordinance change here and that staff will have to come back with some recommendations for the procedure. So hopefully that's something that will be thought about. And I don't know if Lauren or John, if you want to respond to that concern.
Sure. I would say that I think we have nothing that explicit, but we have two half measures that maybe need to be rewritten to a measure, which is that after 15 or more members come forward, the staff, number 2, assesses the situation, prepares a response, and if appropriate, a recommendation. And then 3 is after noticing the community, a community meeting is held and proposed test measures are discussed. So it would seem that somewhere between 2 and 3, we need staff to evaluate whether additional community input should be gathered and is needed. And maybe when they, as you mentioned, when they write the ordinance, they could come up with a mailing out to the residents of that neighborhood or going to the neighborhood watch meeting and having this discussion, some other options. Because I don't disagree. I mean, we're just trying to get out of this habit of making it the fully 50% plus one of the residents' responsibility, when many times you can't get more than 25% of the residents to vote for us on election day, but you want them to weigh in on whether the traffic should drive slower in their neighborhood. So I think that was sort of the impulse for that.
And also I think there are so many opportunities for community feedback with this, to have a community meeting and then to have a transportation commission meeting and council meeting. I mean, there are a number of opportunities for people to come out. And I think also noticing from the city rather than the residents having to get those signatures, it does relieve the onus from the residents. And I think that's important.
All right, is there a motion on this item? No speakers. Moved by Meister, seconded by D'Amico. Any further discussion?
Does that motion include the direction that you just discussed?
Okay. All those in favor, please indicate with an aye. Any opposed with a nay? Motion passes 5-0. All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Meister. Now we'll move to item 5C, which is a discussion of City Council meeting schedule for 2019 and scheduling of the election installation in terms for Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, and proposed schedule outlining the terms for commission and advisory board members. I guess I want to first thank Yvonne and the City Clerk's Department for going through the tedious work of figuring all this out and dates, and now that we're switching to even-numbered election years, it's probably a headache. So thank you for getting into the nitty-gritty of it all. Let me start. Speaker, it looks like we have no public speakers, so we'll go to the council. Councilmember Meister?
Yeah, my concern was really with the commission and advisory board member terms. If people are getting elected in November, it seems to me that by February or January or February, they should be able to have, new people or keep the same, or ask the people who are on the commissions or boards to stay on until they figure out what they're doing. But I think to make the term 4 months, is it 4 months, December, January, February, March, 4 months after somebody starts a term, a council member starts a term, it doesn't really make sense. I think it should be, January or February at the latest.
Was there a reason, Yvonne, regarding that?
Right now, we have the appointments and reappointments beginning the second meeting in May after those that are elected in March, and then people are installed in April. So for the November meeting, we will have the new people sworn in, probably the second meeting in December. So then I thought so it's usually a couple of months in between where we contact all of the commission and advisory board members to see if they would like to be reappointed. We provide that list to council, and then council starts making their appointments, and it usually takes a few meetings to get through that. So I thought if we had council members sworn in the second meeting in December, we could in January start that process, and then you could start appointing people in February if you wanted. It's just changing the term. So they instead of the commission and advisory board members' terms ending in May 31st, they would end March 31st. So it would be a December swearing in. By March 31st, you would start appointing your advisory board members and commissioners instead of May. So are you saying you want it before then, or?
Even March is longer. I mean, having it in March is a month longer later than what it is now if we look at from March to June. So that's only 3 months. So I would say February at the very latest.
Okay, we can look at that.
All right, we can do that. Councilmember Heilman?
Yeah, I'm supportive of that change. And I appreciate what you did with the mayoral terms and trying to be fair with all of the upcoming mayors and that no one, but couldn't we just do this over the next 2 terms and just give the next 2 mayors longer periods of time, and then we would be on a schedule where it would be you get sworn in as mayor in January to the next January. Would that be possible?
I think it's possible. We would just extend the terms for longer than 2 months. So for the next 4 cycles, we extended it for 2 months. I think we could, for the
go
next.
to September we've survived John Duran as mayor for a while. I think we could survive till September. And then the next mayor from September to January of 2021. And then we would be done with this and everything would then be geared towards January.
If council is okay with that, then we can just do it for the next 2.
That would be my suggestion, but it's up to council if they want to do that.
Councilmember Horvath? I'm okay with that.
So we're doing it 2 years sooner? Is that what your suggestion? I'm
just suggesting that we extend the next 2 mayor terms so that after those 2 terms, everyone would have 1 year and it would start in January.
It doesn't matter to me.
Because I think it's weird to, 1 year it's July, the next year it's September, then November. Let's just get it over with.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying
that I go to September?
Well, yeah.
That's okay with me.
Unless you've decided to resign.
I'm okay with that.
And then whoever is next, our mayor pro tem, would likely go from September to January of 2021. And then
we're caught up.
And then after that, the mayor would get sworn in
every January.
It's okay with me.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay, I think we're okay with that. You okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. And I've got Councilmember Horvath.
I just wanted to, now with that change, maybe my question is irrelevant, but when are they sworn in the first meeting of that month?
That was something that we would talk about once we brought back the item for the next year. So at the end of each year, my office brings an item to talk about the meetings for the upcoming year. And depending on when we get our election certified, I'm hoping that it'll be early December. And then the second meeting in December, we can install the new council members and elect a mayor and mayor pro tem, and then a meeting in January. Whether or not that's the first meeting or the second meeting, we would do the installation.
We
each
usually
January.
cancel the first meeting in January, so maybe we'll have to have a special meeting just for the mayoral installation.
Is that okay? Does that put a lot of stress on the city clerk's office to do the installation, first meeting out of January?
I don't think so. It's usually the city manager's office and other staff that's working with the new mayor and mayor pro tem that.
You're okay with it? Doesn't mean you're working over the holidays or anything? No? Okay. All right. I don't see Janet Jimenez or John Leonard yelling or screaming, but okay. Okay, all right. Okay. All right, that's it for discussion. Is there a motion to approve the item as amended by Councilmember Heilman? It's been moved and seconded. And by Councilmember Horvath, I'm sorry, yeah, both amendments. All right.
And the change to the commission,
commissions,
yeah.
Yes, all the amendments, all right. All those in favor indicate with an aye.
So I just wanted to confirm the recommendations number 1 and 2 about this year's mayor and mayor pro tem election and the installation. So we'd be moving the recommendation number 2. The installation would be in September
Yes.
2019. So I'll make that change.
Okay.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate with an aye. Any opposed with a nay. Ayes have it, 5-0. The motion passes. Item 6A, B, and C, I think were all moved to consent. Do we have any additional public comment?
We do.
We do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, we do. Mr. Klein, is Jack here now? No Jack. Okay. Irina Martin or Martin?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I have very grave concerns about Jamel Moore. At this point, there's no transparency and there's no trust with the sheriff. Had they done the right investigation from the beginning, Timothy might be here. There's too many victims that have come forward and stressed what has happened in that apartment, and everyone is acting like nothing is going on. West Hollywood has to do better. They really have to do better. We want justice for both of them.
Thank you very much. Marnie Carmian, if I said it right. Oh, Marnie, yeah, I'm sorry. To be followed by Donovan Caver.
Thank you. Nice to see all of you. I do have a question. It's involving the question, on the agenda, the job training for the homeless. And it's like, how can they have job training when they don't have a home? I mean, that's my question. And the other thing is, I see that there's a possibility of expanded services, and I will confess, I'm not informed as to what all these services are or could be, but I'm asking, how are the homeless notified that they can come in out of the rain, for instance? I remember seeing whatever year, that there was a place or places in West Hollywood where if it was really, really cold or, really, really wet, that the homeless would be able to take shelter or refuge. And so I'm wondering and I haven't seen any of those notices, perhaps I'm not looking in the right place either. But I would hope that is something that we're doing.
Marnie, we have outreach teams that they're out there every day, Monday through Friday, and giving information to homeless people that they meet.
Excellent, excellent. I know I utilize laundry at the 7-Eleven at Hayworth and Santa Monica Boulevard, and it's it's just really pathetic. You know, there was a man walking around barefoot, and it was raining. And anyway, and that's just one out of however many I've seen. All right, well, that's but what about the job training? Where do they come from?
We'll talk to you after the meeting, Marnie.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Donovan Caver? Is there a Donovan Caver here? Yes.
So members of the council, I previously spoke at the last Public Health and Safety Commission concerning Ed Buck. I raised the issue clearly that Mr. Buck was in violation of multiple California health and safety codes, notably 11366 and 11350.5. In regards to 1136, it is a crime to operate or maintain any place for the purpose of unlawfully selling or giving away illegal controlled substances. I would like to raise that issue because clearly Mr. Buck is still present in this community. He has not been arrested. And I would like to say this, too often in regards to black victims, justice is delayed subsequently so it can just be denied. In this instance, we have multiple victims who have come forward. We have one that has gone international where he was detained against his will and injected against his will also at Mr. Buck's house. Some of these victims are from out of state. This is, not only is this involved trafficking and kidnapping, this involves this whole community being complicit in what was going on. And this happened before Jamel Moore, if I understand from some of the victims who are still scared and they're still traumatized. Now, in regards to those California health and safety codes, I don't know if the sheriff is going to do anything about it. I thank you, John Hellman, for asking that question. Does homicide also handle drug-related issues? I think that was very important to mention narcotics. But I'd also like to mention that when it comes to trafficking and kidnapping, that actually goes beyond the realm of the sheriff's jurisdiction, and now we're looking into a federal investigation. And what I would push for is for members of the council to also ask concurrently for a federal investigation into Mr. Buck. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And like I said, clearly we have violations. There's evidence. You have testimonies. You can easily find them on the internet. It's out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caver. All right, councilmember comment. Councilmember Horvath.
Thank you, Mayor. I forgot to mention, quick congratulations to our Arts and Cultural Affairs Committee Commissioner, Todd Williamson. He was awarded the Pollock Prize for Creativity this year, which is an award that honors an outstanding artist whose work embodies high creative standards and exemplifies the impact of art and on individuals and society. And he'll be presenting his work at the Venice Biennale, which is one of the world's most prestigious art events. Congratulations, Todd.
Congratulations, Todd Williamson. Okay, that concludes all of our business. We are now adjourned until February 19th, 2019. Reminder, everyone, that's a Tuesday because of the President's holiday. Thank you.